How would you like to retire and still get paid every single week? Well, that is the goal behind these leveraged weekly paying dividend ETFs, and we now have 6 of them. Now, if you are confused, there are other ones that are non-leveraged, that are covered call funds, that are in the other account, and there's about 18 of those. There's a ton of them now. But of these leverage paying ones, we have 6. We have 5 from RoundHill and 1 from Defiance. And today we're going to look into which ones are paying the most in dividends and which ones are making the most money overall. So I hope you guys enjoy. As always, if you're interested in ETFs, in dividend income, in passive income, you are in the right place. Don't forget to like the video and to subscribe so you never miss an update and you never miss out on finding which ones are making people the most money. Let's get straight into it after the intro. We are in the green. The initial investment into this account was $600 even. We are positive by $47.42, which is roughly a little under 8% for those of you interested, which is crazy because some of these are completely beaten down. Now, I will say what we're looking at on the screen right now, it's showing the unrealized profit and loss, meaning dividends are not factored in. When I pull up the dividend tracking spreadsheet near the end of this video, that's going to show us the actual total return. So the ones that are in the red aren't really this beaten down, and the ones that are in the green are actually performing even better, if you can believe it. Now, one thing I will say is for those of you that are interested in the weekly payers, I think Moomoo is the best brokerage to buy them on. Now, not financial advice as always, but this has been the brokerage I've used for all my challenges, and that's the reason I like it so much. It has all the weekly payers so quickly, almost faster than I can even buy them. It takes more time for me to figure out how to transfer the money into my account than it does for Moomoo to get the tickers on. It's the quickest one I've seen out of all the brokerages I use, and I use roughly 4 or 5. So that's saying something, and it helps the channel out. They are doing some promos right now, some crazy APY on your uninvested cash, and up to 30 free stocks when you start and open an account. So check that out and let me know what you think. Now let's get into the details. So we have the Apple ETF, AAPW, that is down 25.2%. It's been rough. We have COIW, the Coinbase ETF, which is positive by almost 11%, making a nice comeback. Then we have ticker MST, that's down 20.7%. Now, this one is really beaten up, and we're going to look at MSTR, and that will showcase why. There's some news about that one that we definitely need to touch on. Then we have NVW, the NVIDIA ETF, that's up 6.5%. Nothing to complain about there. We have PLTW, which is the PLTR ETF, that is up 26.24%. A phenomenal run by PLTR and by PLTW so far. And lastly, but definitely not least, we have TSW up just under 10%, which I'm a giant Tesla fanboy. So we're going to talk about all of these individually. Check out the underlying stocks because these leverage ETFs, they really, really matter what the underlying stock is. You cannot escape it. So if you like the underlying stock, you should like these and vice versa. But if the underlying stock does terribly, as we've seen from a couple of these, it can really beat up the price. So let's start with one of the largest stocks on the stock market today, ticker AAPL. Apple is down 20% year to date. Now, a lot of things are contributing to this, the main factor being the tariffs that are proposed by this current administration. And I mean, there's nothing we can really do about it but watch and wait. If you think the tariffs are going to blow over, now might be a good entry point. If you think that they are going to continue to push Apple lower, probably not the best time to buy in. Honestly, it all depends on what you think is going to happen. And if I had a crystal ball and could figure all this out, I would share it with you guys, but I don't. And so I'm not going to pretend like I know what's going to happen. I do think there will be some sort of resolution. I'm not sure how much it's going to hurt Apple as a company because a lot of their products, I think nearly all of their products are outsourced from these other countries. And so it will be interesting to watch. I will say if it does get super beaten up, I probably will start a position for the first time ever. I've just never owned Apple. It's not really my style of stock. It's a slow growth, which I do like, but I already have quite a few of those. So could be interesting. Let me know your take on Apple, on the stock. Should we be buying into these prices? Is it going back up? Is it going down? I'm really curious as to what everybody is doing, but let's jump into our next stock. We are watching Coinbase climb back up quite nicely. At the low, it was 150, and it's gone up 76% from that point, which is why ticker CONY by YieldMax is actually doing really well again. Now, the dividends have gone up, which is nice. The price hasn't fixed itself quite yet, but that's kind of how some of those funds continue to trade. Now, I will say COIW being back in the green is great. Do I think it's going to continue this trend? Well, that all depends on Bitcoin. And I guess crypto as a whole, because Coinbase isn't like a Bitcoin ETF. It's a publicly traded company that is a brokerage where you can buy only crypto. They do only crypto, no stocks. While there are some other stock companies like Robinhood and I think even Webull, you can buy crypto on it. Coinbase is the go-to crypto trading app for newer investors to crypto. It's a little bit easier than a lot of the other ones. And I say that as someone that does not know a lot about how to trade, store, and all that stuff with crypto. So it's a little bit simpler, which I like. And long term, if you believe in crypto and you think that Bitcoin will do well, chances are Coinbase will follow trend, because the more Bitcoin's hyped up, the more transactions there are in crypto, the better Coinbase does, because they do collect on those fees. So I am long on Coinbase. Probably wouldn't buy in at these levels, at least until we see a little bit of a sell-off with some of the cryptos that have been going absolutely nuts, aka Bitcoin. But I am long on this one. I'm just very careful with when I buy in, but I'm glad to see COIW not only giving us some better dividends, but also increasing in price and going well into the green. Although MSTR is up almost 30% year to date, we haven't seen MST trade for that long. So it started trading, I believe, early in May. And so, I mean, it's just beaten up. So down 10.5%, almost 12% from the high. But because it's a 1.5 to 2x leveraged ETF, which is different from the other weekly pay ones by RoundHill, those ones are 1.2x. So MST is 1.5 to 2x, meaning all the changes that go through MSTR are going to be significantly more so reflected in MST. And so we did get a couple of distributions so far, which I'm really happy to see and talk about. It's been great, but we need MSTR to bounce back. And if you believe in, again, Bitcoin, it seems like so many things are tied to crypto and tied to Bitcoin these days, which I'm not opposed to. But I think back to like 6 months ago, there were relatively few. I mean, we've just seen the number continue to multiply, which I'm not opposed to by any means. But again, if you think Bitcoin's going to do well, MSTR has a bunch of Bitcoin. They own over 500,000 coins, which is wild to think about. So they're almost like a Bitcoin ETF in a way. One thing, though, is I have seen through just the comments, I have not looked into this myself, which I will very soon, is there's some lawsuits going on with MSTR, and I think that's part of what's pulled the price down recently. So I'm going to check that out. I'll let you know if I find anything interesting. If you know in the comments, drop it. Please share the knowledge. You guys are phenomenal at that. I love the community that we've built. You guys are super helpful. Let me know. I'll double check everything, of course, but I'm curious as to what's going on with this company, and I can probably look really easily and find it, but I got to edit this video too, so we'll see what I get to. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Let's jump into our next stock. Nvidia is climbing back as well. We saw lows of 94. I can't believe it went sub 100, and now it's back all the way up to 135. On the year, what's the high? About 150. So we have a little more to go to reach all-time highs. Are we going to do that? I don't know. Again, a lot of things are impacting this. Tariffs, the other companies that create the microchips. There's a lot. There's just a lot going on in the market these days. So I hope you guys are staying mentally focused and more so mentally sane, I will say. The latter for me has been more difficult as of late, I will admit. I'm just going a little bit cuckoo with everything going on in the market, but at least it's fun and entertaining and it gives us something to talk about. So long term, I've said this in almost every video, I'm long on Nvidia. I own some currently. Isn't that bad? I forget what stocks I even own. But I have a lot for YouTube challenges and whatnot. So I own some in a number of YouTube challenges, which have been super fun to track and watch. And it has been doing well. I believe it is green on those, but it is still really high, probably overinflated. And I wouldn't be diving in super heavy when it is at these prices. Even though it consistently ran, no matter what it was doing, we are seeing a little more of a pullback now. So is now the time. In my opinion, I won't be buying some, but let me know if you guys are. Definitely let me know in the comments because I like knowing what everyone's doing. So, and make a good argument for it. Why do you think Nvidia is going to go higher or why do you think it's going to go lower? Because I love that I'm buying Nvidia comments, but let me know why. All right, if you're going to influence me, I want to know some more details, of course. So let's jump into our best performer, ticker PLTR. It's just ridiculous. I just put out a video on ticker PLTY, the YieldMax ETF. So if you're interested in that, I'll link it at the end of this video. It's crazy what PLTR has been doing. And in part, what all these funds that write options or are leveraged on PLTR are doing because it is just absolutely skyrocketing, up 63% year to date, up almost 500% on the year. I did not buy this. I was watching it in the 30s and 40s and it jumped and I was like, oh, I remember it went from 30 up to 35. And I was like, oh, I'll wait till it comes back down to 28. Guess what? It never did. So guess who lost out on 250% returns? Me. But I probably would have sold because I'm a chicken anyway. So long-term PLTR, I am a fan. I think it will do well. I think it's crazy overinflated right now. And I get comments saying that all the time. The PE ratio is 540. Now, I don't love PE ratio for a metric for some of these hyped up stocks. And let me tell you why. Tesla. Tesla's PE ratio has always been absolutely astonishingly high, like probably the highest in history before PLTR maybe, and it continued to do well. It didn't matter if the PE ratio was at 100, if it was at 300. Whenever I bought it, Tesla went up to an extent. It does go up and down. Volatility is all over the place, but you can't base everything off just one metric in the stock market. Not financial advice. Those are just my opinions, of course. Do your own due diligence and let me know what you think of PLTR in the comments as well. And speaking of Tesla, let's jump into our last ticker. Absolutely tanked at the beginning of the year, going from 426 down 50%. It was at 230. I did scoop up quite a few shares at about the 250 range, which I'm really happy about because I am up by about 45%. So that's phenomenal. It also did run by 64%. So I should have bought more, but I didn't because, again, I'm not very good at investing. That's a joke, but that just goes to show you everyone makes mistakes. I should have bought more, shoulda, woulda, coulda. You don't know what these ETFs, what these stocks are going to do. So don't hurt yourself. Be happy with the gains that you have made. And that's what I want to point out specifically is a win is a win. Doesn't mean if it's 5%, 10%, or 100%. If you've made money, you did well. A lot of people trade and don't make money. That's the sad truth. And I mean, we've all been there. We've all lost money. So be happy about your wins. Don't let it get to you. Don't focus on what could have been. Focus on what you did already accomplish. Should I start a motivational channel, guys? I'm just feeling motivated today. Don't even know what it is. But Tesla, I've said it before. I'm along on this one. I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk. Not necessarily, he's gotten into politics a lot, and you guys know I'm not a big fan of getting into politics, but I'm a fan of his brain. I think he's the smartest human being that we've seen in the last decade, maybe even longer. We will never really know that, but I do think he's a genius. I think he's a phenomenal business owner, and I want him to move away from politics and back into running his business, whether or not you think he was doing good in the political spectrum, which cutting money from the government spending to me is always good because they spend money on absolutely everything. Whether or not you like this administration or not, I do like seeing less spending, especially in the millions and trillions like they like to spend. But I want him to come back to Tesla, work on the company more, work on it like he was, that was making this thing run like mad. And again, Tesla's PE ratio, 200. The PE ratio was still way too high when it was trading at 230, 250. So that just goes to show you PE ratio. You can't always trust it. But I am long on Tesla. I swing trade it like crazy. I wouldn't say TSW is my favorite of these weekly pay leveraged ETFs just because Tesla, although the implied volatility is high, implied volatility is less important on these ones because it is more just leverage play. But it's just hard because I like to swing it. You can kind of tell when it's down, when it's up. It's kind of easy. When we got to these crazy low points, I like to buy in, and then I just hold it. I'll probably be holding it until it hits at least 400 and make some good profit and sell. So then I buy in again once it drops. That's just how I play it. So the leverage portion is a little bit riskier, but it is really fun if you catch it in the right swing. So let me know what you guys think about Tesla in the comments. And now let's jump into that tracking spreadsheet and see all the dividends that were paid out. We had our first dividend from MST, and it was big. It was $1.34 total. Now that is per the amount of shares I have, which I think is 4 shares of MST, maybe 5. I don't know. 4 shares. We'll see in just a moment, but that's not per share. Just so you guys know, I get confused sometimes because these are not per share. It's per the amount I have invested. So big dividend, $1.34 from MST. TSW, $1.01. Again, really large compared to what it was paying in the 60s. PLTW, $1.21. Not as high, but still pretty high. And it kind of had a lackluster week last week, so I'm happy that it still paid out such a good dividend. NVW, 72 cents. This one's all over the place, and I'm not complaining. 72 cents is kind of right in the middle, which is good. Again, no complaints. COIW paid 67 cents, lower end, but that's okay. I think it moving forward from this point, it will start paying out higher as we do see the price of coin going up. So pretty solid. And AAPW coming in at the worst payer again with 32 cents. Not surprised. This one is still in the red and continuing to drop. So what do you expect? It's not going to be paying out $5 or $6 because, well, it's just dropping. So total, we can see we had 527, which is second place to just last week or 2 weeks ago based on our weekly calendar. And so I'm happy about that. But again, we did factor in, we added MST, which hasn't paid yet, meaning that week 2 of May was a phenomenal week because this would actually only be about $4, which is more common to what we have been seeing. So again, I'm really pumped about this. What I will be doing as well is I'm going to be adding in another share of each once I get enough money from the dividends. So I'll be purchasing 1 extra share no matter what the cost is of each. And we're just going to continue doing that every time I make enough money to do so. So Really pumped about that. Let's jump into our positions tab and see what's made me the most money and what has lost me the most money with these leveraged weekly dividend ETFs. I shrunk myself down so you guys can see more of the important stuff. I know you guys love watching me talk. That's a joke. But let's slide over and see exactly what was made. So total, we have, of course, 4 winners and 2 losers, and the numbers are pretty wild. AAPW is down 23%, which is not great. COIW is actually up almost 17.5%, despite it only being up 8% on our unrealized profit and loss, meaning the dividends have been really impacting these returns. NVW is up 14%. Again, really phenomenal dividends to push that up from the 6 or 7% it was in the green in the account. Then we have PLTW up 39%. I know I get a lot of comments, oh, PLTR is going to drop, and there's a good chance that it does. Who knows what it's going to do? When you're that overinflated, sometimes they keep running, sometimes they fall off, sometimes they trade sideways. Either way, a 39%, I'm not going to knock it because that's absolutely phenomenal. Then we have TSW really coming in hot with 22%. Surprised me. I thought it was going to continue to fall. We got in at a pretty good time for a few of these and a pretty bad time for others. Of course, we have MST that's down 19%. We've only seen that one dividend, so I'm not surprised by that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to slide all the way over. If you're interested in buying the dividend tracking spreadsheet, let me tell you, I'm working on getting a website up. Once I get the website up, everything's going to be available on there because I can make it cheaper because it costs less, as in there's not someone taking a portion of it when it's just from my website. And so I'm going to have it be a lot cheaper on there, which is why I recommend not buying it quite yet. Once I get it on there, I'll do a sale. I'll announce it on here for those of you that are interested. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these other templates on there for what I've been tracking. So you'll have the YieldMax total return. You'll have the YieldMax $1,000 account. You'll have access to all of those just to see the recorded data for yourself. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Anyways, let me know if you think it's a good idea, bad idea in the comments, and let me know what else you want on the website. I'm designing it myself. It's not going to be perfect by any means, but I hope it's useful, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be maybe doing some blog posting on there for those that are interested, maybe some product reviews in the investing space, stuff like that. But anyways, back to the key point. Total dividends received so far. Absolutely insane. PLTW has paid $12.55. Wild. And then we have TSW outdoing COIW by 1 cent. $7.57 for TSW, $7.56 for COIW. Then, of course, we have NVW with the $1.38. And finally, we actually have AAPW is not in last place because MST is now paying. So although it only paid 1 week and it's already up to 1/4 or over 1/4 of what AAPW has been paying, AAPW is now in second to last. And again, it's not the point. The goal of that fund is going to be just slower growth. It's lower risk, lower reward. Maybe. If you have high risk, high reward, and it goes poorly, then AAPW will outperform. But all in all, I'm really impressed by these weekly payers, the leverage weekly payers. Like I said, if you're interested in the other weekly payer account that has a ton and some doing really phenomenally well, I'll link that video at the end of this one as well for you guys to check out, as well as the PLTY video I just put out, which has been really fun. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and you guys are phenomenal. I just want to give a huge shout out. We hit 14,000 subscribers today. I never would have imagined 14,000 here on YouTube and well over 10,000 now on TikTok, which you guys are absolutely amazing. Let me just say that. I appreciate you guys. You guys have absolutely blown out of the water what I thought this channel would ever become. And you are one of, I say, you are one of the best communities on YouTube, 1,000%. Everyone's kind, besides a few random comments, but they're funny. If you're going to be mean, at least be kind of funny. But again, thank you guys so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. And again, if you enjoyed this video, check out these ones on the other weekly payers and on PLTY. And as always, don't forget, if you need a brokerage, check out Moomoo's perks down below in the comments and follow me on Blossom, the free social media investing app. Thank you guys so much. I hope to see you in the next video.